story time before, but I really want to, and I have a lot of things that have happened in my past, but with the way that my mind works and my memory is just so bad that the only way that I remember things is if people trigger it. Like, if someone tells me a story and they've done something similar to something I've done, it'll trigger a memory and then I'll like remember a whole story of something that happened. But I can't just make these things happen on their own. Like, I physically cannot just reach into my brain and remember something that happened to me. It has to be triggered by someone else. Or even something else like an item or a sound or a song, or even places sometimes can trigger memories. So recently, whenever I've had a memory triggered, I have been writing it down in my book, so I have a bunch of story times that I could potentially tell you guys that if you wanted to. So leave a thumbs up on this video if you like it and you want me to tell you more stories about stuff that happened. But for this story, I did not have to reach very far into memory as it happened last week, and I just had to talk about it with you guys because it was such a traumatic experience, and I have never been through a hurricane before or even a really big tropical storm, so this was extremely, extremely traumatizing for me. And I literally thought for at least 8 or 10 hours that I could potentially die, and I was just... You guys, you don't even understand how terrified of this storm I was. Like, I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was done. Okay, I am getting way too far ahead of myself. Hey, hi, how you doing? I'm Alicia. Nice to meet you. Welcome to my channel. Or welcome back. As you guys can tell from the title, and you all probably know, last week we had a hurricane hit Florida, and it was the first hurricane I have ever experienced. And it just also happened to be one of the biggest hurricanes that has hit the US in 10 years, or since Katrina, or whatever. I don't even know. I was getting so many different facts from so many different sources. I didn't know what was true, or what to believe, or if I was gonna die, or if I was gonna be okay. But let me just tell you right now, the news did not make me feel okay.
The forecast is for a direct hit by the most powerful storm to hit the United States in more than a decade. Millions and millions of people under orders to get out before it's too late. Our reporters say many are staying, and for them, if the forecasters are right, too late will come very soon. Despite the warnings, lots of people here in the United States have said they're not going anywhere. We will not cover your funerals, and we will not feel sorry for you. They're stocking up supplies, boarding up their homes, and hoping, which is moronic. Matthew is a rare Category 4 hurricane. This animation shows a look at the scale of the damage that we expect there. If it hits the way they're predicting, this is what we expect. Over on our wall, a look at the storm track. The forecasters today have expanded the area where the storm may hit. See this? Melbourne.
Hey, look, that's me right there.
Daytona Beach, all the way up to Jacksonville. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. And your kids die too.
So yeah, that was a thing. So let me just start right before like the hurricane really hit. I found out about the hurricane on Wednesday, I believe it was. I found out that afternoon. One of Carl's friends just mentioned to us, he's like, hey, did you guys hear that there's a really big storm coming to hit us? And we were like, no. It was a Category 3. They said it already hit Haiti, and at that time there wasn't any death tolls or damage really that we knew about, because obviously they don't have a way to show us all of the damages when everything gets destroyed. So at this point, all I knew is that there was a hurricane coming, it was a Category 3, and that we needed to prepare for it regardless. So we went out to the store and we got a bunch of food, and we got some boards to board up the windows and everything, because we didn't know how bad it was going to get. But we also didn't know how bad it already was, because there was no death tolls, there was no damage. We didn't know anything that happened in Haiti or Cuba or anything. So that night at around midnight, I think, is when everyone started to figure out how scary it could really be and how nasty of a storm it could really become. And that's when all of my friends and family started texting me like, hey, are you gonna get out of there? Are you gonna be okay? Because when you look at my location on Google Maps, if it's just like hanging out over the entire state, it looks like I am literally on the beach. Even though I know I'm several miles from the beach, it would take me at least 10 minutes in a car to get to the beach. Still, I'm very, very close to the beach when you're just looking at it on a map. And that's terrifying when the news is showing this huge broadcast sweeping over the exact place that you are, even further than you are, telling you that you're gonna die. Like, oh my god. I could not handle it. And Carl's family, they're only a few blocks from the beach. So I thought, if by chance we somehow miraculously survive this hurricane that everyone is telling me that I'm gonna die from, Carl's parents in their house is going to be gone. Like, it was gone. I was convinced that they were gonna be gone and I was never gonna see them again. And all of them were so stubborn, and none of them wanted to leave, none of them wanted to evacuate. They all said we were okay, and I wanted to believe them so bad, and I did. I trusted them, because they have obviously been here. Hi, puppy. They have obviously been here a lot longer than I have, and they've been through several hurricanes and storms, and they know what to do and how to handle it. And they were all saying that we were going to be okay, and I really wanted to trust them. And by the time that I was really freaking out and wanting to leave, it was already starting to get kind of windy and already pretty much too late to leave. So even if we did go, it probably would have been really unsafe because there was everyone else and their grandma on the road. And honestly, some people really were in danger. If you were right on the beach, there were some really big storm surges and catastrophic damages. Like people's hotels' walls were getting ripped off and stuff. Not anywhere near us, but the way that everyone described it and the way that they made it seem, they said that basically we were not going to survive this, and I was not going to survive this, and I was going to be dead. And this is why I didn't vlog any of this or record any of it, because, well, one, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to put it up, and two, I was so freaking scared. Oh, you want to get down now? Come on. Decide, please. You're cute. The camera wants to see ya. So after I woke up in the middle of the night to all of my family members and everyone telling me that I was going to die and that I needed to get out and asking me if I was going to evacuate and blah 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 blah, Carl calmed me down and his parents assured me that we were going to be okay and that we needed to stay and that there was no point in leaving. They pretty much told me that we were going to be okay. So I said, okay, we're going to stay. I went back to sleep and I was fine. And I had one friend in particular that I was talking to this entire time who was kind of helping me like keep my anxiety down, because I have such bad anxiety, you guys. You have no idea. Like, I don't even like normal storms. This just was too much for me to handle. So I was always texting someone through this entire time that I was awake. And the whole day he was telling me that it was going to be fine as long as we boarded up our windows, we were going to be okay, that we were taking all the right precautions, that Carl's parents were... You want to come back up? He was telling us we were taking all the right precautions, that Carl's parents were right, that we were going to be okay, and this is a friend that I really trust, and he said he's been through hurricanes before, and I don't know, he just really helped give me a peace of mind. And then, of course, he was one of the people that night when I woke up that told me, hey, it's a lot worse than I thought it was going to be, you should get out of there, and that just, like, it made my gut twist. Like, I don't know, I just wanted to get out of there, you guys. I wanted to evacuate. I wanted to go anywhere but where I was, because I have never been through anything like this. I have never been through a hurricane. I did not know what was going to happen. I did not know if I was going to be okay. I didn't know if this little one was going to be okay, and I really just wanted to leave. But of course, at that point, it was already too late. So Carl somehow managed to calm me back down and got me back to sleep that night. And then I kid you not, the next morning, I must have had a nightmare or something about the hurricane, because I woke up and immediately just threw up on my floor. Like, I was already in a panic attack before I was even conscious. So I woke up, I threw up on the floor. I don't really remember much, but I got like into the bathroom and continued throwing up, and then the entire day I did not eat or drink anything. I just had a few sips of water, and that is it, because I was so scared, you guys. Like, everyone was telling me I was going to die, and I believed them. Honestly, if the storm didn't die down into a category 3 again once it went to a category 4, and if the high somehow did hit us, we could have died. That is a real scenario. But I guess Carl's parents and everyone has been here long enough to know that that wasn't going to happen for some reason. I don't know. They're just smart. I don't know. So the entire day I was basically just checking Twitter, hashtag Hurricane Matthew, every 2 minutes, just scrolling down, looking for updates, looking for anything that looked credible to tell me what was happening with the storm and if we were going to be okay and if I was still going to die. And that was probably the worst thing for me to do, but it was the only thing I could do. It was the only thing that could keep me calm. The only reason that I was even remotely okay was because my neighbors and everyone around me was staying. Like, if all of our neighbors were evacuating and everyone was dipping, I'd be like, okay, we need to get the fuck out, like, we need to leave. But Carl's parents were staying, all of the neighbors around Carl's parents were staying, and they're literally on the peninsula in between the river and the beach. So they're in a much more dangerous zone than we are. So if they were staying, I don't see why we shouldn't stay, you know? So we did, and we had already boarded up the windows, and there was no reason to leave, even though I really, really wanted to. And that night when the storm actually hit, yeah, it was scary, yeah, it was terrifying, but the walls of my house didn't even creak. The only thing was there was whistling against the outside of the doors, or like on the outside of the house you could hear the wind whistling against it, and you could hear the lines breaking and the trees swaying and crashing and stuff. But my house itself did not feel like it was moving at all. Like, my house was sturdy. I felt safe as long as I was in here. If I stepped outside, that is another story. I could have gotten hit by a flying sign or a tree or my own fence for freaking hell, because I will show you guys the damages of what it did to my poor fence. But the house itself and the big trees themselves, they were all fine. Like, no huge trees around my area were coming and crashing down on our houses. Nothing detrimental was happening in my area. Over on the beach, it's a different story. They were having some detrimental damages, but where I was safe, and that's not what the news or anyone was telling me or making me feel prior to this. So literally for 10 or more hours, I could not tell you how long it was because my whole sense of time with this whole thing was just completely off because I was so terrified and I was just terrified the whole time. I didn't know what to think or do or say or anything. I just sat and pretty much freaked out and looked at Twitter and talked to Carl and got reassurance from our neighbors and Carl's family and just everyone. I just kept talking to everyone trying to get reassurance because I was just freaking out. I could not help it. You guys will probably make fun of me or think I'm stupid, but I was terrified. I literally thought I was going to die, and there were other people who thought I was going to die, and there were people tweeting at me saying, stay safe, please evacuate, get the fuck out. Like, it was so scary, you guys. But once the worst of the storm actually hit and I knew it wasn't going to get any worse than that, and I knew that those were the strongest winds that we were going to get and that after that it was only gonna die down, that's when I actually had some peace of mind and I knew we were gonna live, I knew we were all gonna be okay. I was still pretty worried about Carl's parents' house because their roof is already caving in, so I thought that they might still be unsafe, but I knew that we were gonna be okay. But let me just tell you, there have been some times in my life where I have had a split-second thing where I thought I was going to die, like sliding on ice in Colorado and someone almost crashing into me, or just like really split-second stuff where I have thought I was going to die and been like, oh my gosh, Jesus, take the wheel, this is the time, this is when I die, I'm gone. But never in my life have I ever thought for 10 or more hours that I was potentially going to die, that my life was in danger, and that is some scary stuff. I mean, my neighbor, bless her heart, she is like a 60-year-old woman, and she was sitting on her porch drinking a beer during the hurricane. Not like during the worst of it, but right when it was hitting, right when the winds were starting to get a little bit nasty, she was sitting on her porch drinking a beer, and I'm sure she would be laughing at my video right now if she saw it, but I just wanted to talk about it with you guys because, one, it was a terrifying experience, and anyone who has ever been through a hurricane or is thinking about moving here and potentially will go through a hurricane should know how scary it is, and the next time that one hits that is nearly that big, I will just be dipping anyways. Even though I know my house is gonna be okay and that everything will probably be okay, I can't go through that emotional turmoil again, okay? I couldn't eat all day. I threw up everything that I ate the day prior, and I was just a miserable wreck the entire day, and I can't do that again. Like, that was way too much for me. So if there's ever another Hurricane Matthew-sized storm coming my way, I am dipping the fuck out. I can't do that. I'm out. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Please tell me what you mean, because I do not know. But anyways, I just wanted to do a story time because I've never done one, and I thought this would be the perfect thing to talk about because the emotions and all of the memories are so fresh, as it just happened a week ago, and I just really wanted to share my experience with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, and if you want to hear some more story times of probably some more interesting stuff, not that this wasn't interesting because there were people who actually lost their lives and it was a really serious thing, and there were people who needed to evacuate, but for me it wasn't as terrifying as everyone made it seem in my area. And I know this was super jumbled and awful and I'm super bad at telling stories, but again, it was my first time and I will get better from now on if you guys want to see more. So definitely leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Again, thank you all so much for watching. My thoughts go out to anyone who was seriously affected by Hurricane Matthew. I know I'm kind of laughing and giggling in this video, but it is a really serious matter and I'm just kind of laughing about it because that's all I can do to cope with it because it was a really scary experience and that's the only way I feel like I can tell it with you guys. But again, thank you all so much for watching and sharing this experience with me. I hope you enjoyed and I will see you next time. Bye!